Welcome to another video on brand device, and this is not the most ideal angle because I cannot see what's going on the camera because of the sun. But needless to say, in winters, whenever the sun comes outside, I'm so looking forward to just spending some time in the garden. So I thought I'm just going to chill out today and talk to you about why same rules don't apply to you as a expat who is in any country. It doesn't really have to be about Germany alone. But of course, most of us, we are from Germany. I lived in Germany and started my business there. And there were a lot of areas where I realized that many times as a foreigner, you do not understand so many things which are completely normal to the native people. And it starts right from the point when you're coming to Germany for studies or even for work. In the starting, you do not understand the culture, you do not understand how people tick, you do not understand what kind of, let's say, things are right to say, and what kind of work behavior or what kind of study behavior is the right one, how do you make presentations and stuff like that. And this really carries over because this carries over in the way you are evaluated, this carries over in the way others see you. And Germany still being more traditional than most of the other countries that we have seen so far. You see that it affects the most, or it shows up the most when you're in a more corporate structure. But as an expat, of course, you kind of miss out on these things. The circle that you have is generally completely different. And this is also what I realized as a student. The first thing that I was starting to struggle with was that, of course, I came to Germany in 2016. Until that time, I was studying in India. 2016 I came, I started my German taught program. The first month felt like hell. I was I don't know what kind of wrong decision I did by coming here, because I wasn't able to understand anything. The universities felt fancier because, of course, in India, the situation of universities and everything is much worse. The professors felt nicer and more kind, and they were willing to help you out in some places. But there was also this inbuilt kind of this stick in the ass with some professors and with some people that I've seen, that you should know these things, this kind of concept that, okay, you are coming here, so you should know these things. But the problem is unless somebody sits down and tells you about these things, or tells you about the culture, tells you about the work things that you have to take care of, you wouldn't learn them. So of course sometimes you get lucky and other times you go into the wrong direction. But my goal was to just kind of document everything that I'm doing directly on YouTube, so that at least there's some kind of database which is starting that people can look up to when they're coming to Germany. And that's how I started my other YouTube channel, Bharat in Germany. I started in around January 2017 and nobody was doing it at that time. Now you have hundreds of channels doing the same thing. It all started because I saw that the same rules don't apply. If you're coming here, you need to be prepared. You need to have some set of knowledge or information already so that you can prepare yourself in that way. And the same thing goes when you're planning your finances. I tell you, the kind of mistakes we did. So of course I came in 2016. I started my studies right away and everything. It was all nice. But Alina and I, we were at that time, we were really struggling because Alina, she was still studying and her income was around 500, 600 euros. Our rent was 550 euros. So that's very screwed up. Then for groceries and stuff, we could just maybe save aside 100, 150 euros or something. And then 50 euros would go away in phone contracts and things like that. And for the first 3 months or 4 months, when I came to Germany, I didn't even have the phone contract because we had to save money. There was no option around. So we were just using one phone, and communication and stuff was of course very difficult. And it was in general not a nice feeling. You're used to having your phone all the time. You're used to just calling anybody you have to, and without worrying about anything. But again, if the finances are like that, what can you do? So of course I had some money saved up, and the state gave us some money as support. I think it was 200 euros a month for 3 months, so a total of 600 euros. But those 600 euros, they made us work for it. So I had to go to the job center every 2 weeks or something and talk to them about different kind of jobs that I'm applying to and stuff like that, which was actually nonsense because they knew that I'm here for studies. They saw my German proficiency. I cleared test stuff and everything, and I was applying to university. So my studies were starting in October, but I came in July. So for these 3 months, they just absolutely made a lot of drama. So that was the first horrible experience that we were what kind of nonsense is it? And of course at the time it was yes, it's nice that the state is helping, but when you see that you pay hundreds of thousands of euros in taxes, but you're still treated the same way somebody who's taking out help from the state, it kind of just doesn't make any kind of sense. So in the starting, when we started living together and stuff, the finances were, of course, it was a problem, but the problem was also that there was also nobody else who kind of told us that do not go for the Bausparvertrag because it is a fucking scam, and do not like get these phone contracts because you will not be able to get out of that. Nobody told us these kind of things. And the concept of investing in the stock market and stuff, it felt like such a big risk that we were not willing to take it. And that was a huge problem. Whereas when I compared this to my other German friends, like, whose maybe parents invested, or like they grew up with this culture where they learned about different kind of things all the time, and investing was something which was like very common to them. They knew what kind of depots you have to open, what kind of things you have to invest in, everything. And I was like, man, this really sucks. And that's why like I was really on the path of kind of like, first of all building this database. And I started in January 2017, did my YouTube and stuff. In October 2017, I registered my business, thinking like it would be so nice to have a side business and be my own boss. But I also did not know that how much like paperwork the German tax authorities try to bury you in, like when you start your own business. If you have a great lawyer, if you have a great tax consultant, then you can survive these things. But if you don't have that, and especially like when you're earning just like, really cents on the euros, then you cannot afford these things. Like many times you see like these bigger companies who have solid lawyers, solid tax consultants and stuff, they can go through it without any kind of problems because there are people helping you out. But if you're just a single person trying to do something, it starts getting difficult. In the starting, it was still fine. I was like, okay, you have this Kleinunternehmerregelung. So this is a small business regulation where you do not have to do any kind of VAT registration every 3 months, and you don't have to like, do balance sheets and stuff like that. You just make a normal Excel sheet and you can use it to file your taxes. You have your income, you have your expenses, you have your net profit. On the profit, you pay your taxes. That's it. That means you could have a lot of different kind of expenses. For example, this camera, this was a business expense. The tripod I buy, that was a business expense. If you have to go to a specific place or country where we have to film something, that would be a business expense, although it wouldn't be taken completely out if you're like going with your family. But like if you're going alone, that's a proper business expense. And the registration of the business and just like, throwing myself into this made me realize these things, that this is the way, many people actually get rich, because they are spending on things with pre-tax money. For example, if you're like buying this camera, that means you're not paying the tax on the money that you spent to buy this camera, because it is a business expense. And that's how we started learning things, by doing things on our own, because nobody else was telling us things. And this is something which I found really sad, because even if you see like, many business channels and stuff like that, it is all about what kind of final result they received, but it is never about teaching it. It is never about the process. It is never about like really helping somebody else into like building their own business. And this is something which I found like absolutely annoying. And like, this was the reason why I started then Brandavise in 2020, because I wanted to go down that path where I am actually like, helping other expats out how to start their own business, how to be a freelancer, how to not make the mistakes that I made when I was like, starting my business and things like that. And of course, I'm super motivated to head towards that direction, because no other business channels are covering it. They're super happy about telling their final results, but the process matters a lot more. So of course, when I was a small business, 2017, 2018, it was nice. But 2019, like the entire drama started as soon as you have to like, pay VAT, like you have to do the registration for VAT, I think after every 3 months till the 10th day of the next month. It just became a pain, because in 2019, they did not tell me anything. 2020, they realized that in 2019 you made a lot of money, so we have to actually charge you VAT for the entire year of 2019. So imagine this, like you haven't charged anybody VAT for 2019, but they are telling you now that you have to actually pay us VAT for 2019. So you have to put money outside from your own pocket, which was like very painful, and I found it very shitty of the tax authorities. Then 2020, it was the same thing. For the first 6 months, they did not tell me anything. All of a sudden, I have to do income tax prepayments 4 times a year, and then I have to also like do VAT registration of the last 6 months. And all of this was supposed to be done, I think, in 30 days or something, which was crazy stressful. And now just like, the things keep on piling up and piling up. And for example, now for the year 2020, I would be paying around like more than 100,000 euros, around 107,000 euros in taxes, which is absolutely insane. And this is all the money that I like work really hard for. And of course, as an entrepreneur, you don't have any kind of weekends. You just like work, because every single morning you're waking up, you're almost going on a hunt to sell something, or like, to make some money so that you can sleep at night peacefully. And the next morning, the entire circle like starts again. So of course, running your own business, it is a pain on its own, but just like, not knowing these kind of things, how do you get like good tax consultants, or what kind of things you have to take care of, what kind of softwares you should use for bookkeeping and stuff, that really kind of like made things very difficult. And Now, because I do not see a way out, the German bureaucratic system piling us up with one paperwork after the next. So like, that's why I decided like, okay, it doesn't really make sense. We're just doing YouTube anyways, and we have our online businesses, we're doing marketing consulting, and all of this could be done from anywhere. It's not that you're paying 100,000 euros in taxes and you're getting special privileges out of it, that you like get to decide, or you get to tell the government, hey, like whatever lockdown nonsense that you're doing, it's like absolutely stupid, because a lot of business are dying, and so many people are actually losing their livelihood, that so many of them are also like, just going towards suicides and stuff, which is just like heartbreaking. And the government is not even giving you any kind of choice. They're not saying like, hey, we recommend that you stay at home, but if you have a business to run, if you have a family to feed, like you can go outside and you can do it. Because like they say like, the German state is helping and the German government is helping, but it's not really helping. Like they're mostly just covering 90% of the fixed costs you have and like some money on top, but that's still not enough. So for example, if you're a restaurant, you have to pay the rent, you have to pay the insurance, you have to pay the utilities, you have to pay the internet and things like that, and they will cover 90% of that cost. What about the money that you need to like actually survive? What about that? And it is actually so unfair, because I saw like some smaller companies, like, just like 30 people, and they just do game development, getting 5 million euros in grants. So a friend of mine is working there, and he told me, whereas like some other businesses, some restaurants and stuff who just started this year, and because they do not have any kind of like tax filings and stuff for the previous year for their business, they cannot ask the state for help. It's just unbelievable, like the way the lockdown and stuff is happening. I don't see a huge sense in kind of, keeping the business here. And that's why we decided to move to a country where the government is not so hell-bent on like taking your rights and like just almost making you feel like a prisoner in your own country. And that's the reason, starting of February, we have some big changes planned, and I will like inform you about those things. But in general, the nice thing about that is, first of all, the taxes are less. You can afford good lawyers and good tax consultants, because again, the wages that they charge are lesser. So in general, like, it is nice. And I also saw this, so I started like deciding about moving to another country by watching a lot of other German YouTubers. Because if you like just search on YouTube, like, why I'm moving to Cyprus, so a lot of German YouTubers, or like German, let's say, finance people, they just move to Cyprus because the capital gains and stuff is nice, and you have like for 17 years this non-dom policy, which is also like pretty nice, where you do not have to like pay a lot of taxes. Just the corporate tax is 12.5%. So it's like, if people are making this move and like people are working online, then why not? Because we get to build our business in Germany, and it was nice. But if you have the opportunity of moving somewhere where like your life is a bit easier, I'm like absolutely up for it. A lot of us moved to Germany for better opportunities, better education and stuff like that. We started paying our taxes. We paid our taxes for so many years. And maybe afterwards in your journey, if you feel like maybe this country is not serving the purpose I came here for, then I'm absolutely up for moving. I do not like, understand the sense. So of course, like, I come from India, and there's so many people there who kind of like look down on you if you move to another country, saying like, hey, you're a traitor, you're a coward, you're not a patriot, and like things like that. But I feel like, this nationalism and patriotism, like, this is a coward's excuse. Like, if you want to live your life, and if one place is not really providing you the right kind of environment, then I don't see a reason why you should really lock yourself down to one particular place. Now, look at so many people who are like going from Venezuela, who are like leaving Chile. You have so many people coming from Russia, from Ukraine, from Bulgaria, and so many other countries, to like better countries, and I don't see a problem. They're coming to Germany to work, to pay the taxes, and of course to live a better life. No? So you have to like keep all of these things in mind, that once like situations change, you should be like, super flexible to change too, and think about starting your own business, because that way you will be able to do a lot of savings on your taxes. Because I made a course about this, the freelance course, you can find it in the description. And in general, I think, you should like really think about diversifying. Right now, there's so much drama going on about like Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and everything, and people think that it is a sham, and I completely understand that. Like, it just goes up and down in value a lot, and a lot of times. What you have to understand is like, the value of something comes from people believing that that particular thing has a value. And more institutions are buying it. PayPal, I think they bought like $50 million or something of that, and like, or maybe squared it, and like PayPal is buying 70% of newly generated cryptocurrency like all the time. So you have to see these things, that these institutions are buying it because they see there could be a real world use of it sometime in the future. The second thing could be that they're just buying it to raise the prices, and then they're going to like drop everything, sell everything, take the profits, and like go home. That's also a possibility. But right at that time, you will have so many other retail investors who will still be able to like, invest and just make it into a real currency system. So I really believe that. I think like this is not going to go anywhere. Like cryptocurrency might see some regulations and stuff in the future, but I think you should definitely think about investing in it too. Not a lot of money, let's say just like 1% of your net worth, or maximum only the money that you can afford to lose. And that's why I invested around 6,000 euros or something, and that's the money that I can afford to lose. But you look at bigger YouTube channels, for example, I think Graham Stephan just like uploaded a video today, and he said like he's buying cryptocurrency, and turns out that he invested 100,000 euros of cryptocurrency, and for him that is the money that he can afford to lose. And maybe for some other people it could be just like 100 euros, could be just 50 euros, which is the money that they can afford to lose. But I definitely think this cryptocurrency stuff, it is going to be playing a huge role in the future, so keep your eyes open to that. And also that if you haven't yet thought about like starting investing, I really believe you should, because I tell you, the way like the government is printing money, it is unbelievable, and you will definitely see inflation, if not right now, in the future. And you should also like watch some proper videos where they're doing like the measurement of inflation with the actual numbers and not with the benchmarks that the central banks set up for you, because they kind of like try to show that the inflation is super less and stuff. Because so much money printing, like it cannot go without any kind of consequences. There will be some. So you have to be aware about it. Like just try to invest your money, try to safeguard your money, because the government is the first one who is like more than willing to just like tax you and like take all of the money away. But they will never teach you how to be smart with your money, because again, that is not in their best interest. That's your own headache and that's your own burden. And if you're not smart with that, then they pretty much are like always happy to like take more money from you. If you also like haven't yet read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, I highly recommend that. I think there's like no better book made to kind of like change your mindset from just like, thinking about going to a job and like doing whatever you're doing, to thinking about, all right, I'm doing a job, but on the side I should start building something in case the job screws up someday, because you cannot rely on it 100%. And also then how you can like start building your wealth, because that's essentially what it deals with. It doesn't tell you that, hey, just quit your job and everything and jump completely into the self-employment part, because that is not smart. I don't believe that is smart either, because if you look at my journey, when I started my business, I was doing my master's, I was doing my part-time job, and I was doing my side business. I was doing 3 things at the same time. YouTube was one part of the business, and then building the community, talking to the students, taking care of the clients and everything, that was another part. And I was doing all of that on my own. It was stressful in the starting, and I knew it, but I also knew that I cannot afford to not have anything to rely on once my master's ends, because I think it was up till 2019, even like 2019, my master's was about to end, and the business was still not doing great. And I was like 2 years into my business, and I was like, I don't know what is going to happen. Like it was seeing growth every single year, but the growth wasn't enough that I would be able to survive from it. Like I was just making 500-800 euros or something per month, even in 2019, until I invested like $6,000 into a business coach. So he was from Los Angeles, and he of course was like super into like digital marketing and everything. And I told him everything. I told him that for my university's master thesis, I've chose to work on my business, and my goal for the thesis was to increase the sales. And then we worked on these things together, and there was, I think, 12 weeks of coaching and stuff, and we went on a lot of different kind of things. And then till the end, we were able to 4x everything that we were doing, and like we had some like crazy peaks up to sometimes 100x. So this was nice, and this was like money well invested. So another important tip for you could be that if you think you have to invest in something because something is going wrong, and even if you have to be a bit uncomfortable with what you're investing, because maybe it's like such an insane amount, many times it is just going to push you harder for it. And if you find the right people who are willing to help you with that, your business is going to change day and night. So for example, right now, I do not regret spending that $6,000 at that time into this course, because it really helped out. It was such a massive help that I couldn't have been where I am right now, like without this particular course. So I'm absolutely like happy about it. And that's why I never shied away then from investing in different kind of things. Right now, when we are thinking about planning different kind of moves to different kind of countries, the first thing I did was I set up the calls with different lawyers, with different tax consultants. So like at least 2 lawyers and 2 tax consultants from every single country. And then afterwards, we decided for the country that we decided for, which I'm going to like announce sometime in the future, very soon actually, just like in 2 or 3 weeks. And I invested all of this money because this was important. Like if you get wrong information or something and you plan your move completely to a particular place, and then turns out the regulations are different, then you're screwed. So you have to think about it from these terms. Like you have to think about the food that you're eating and the things that you're going out for, like some kind of like unnecessary subscriptions that you have. as expenses and not really these kind of, sitting down and talking to experts who can really help you change your life. You shouldn't see them as expenses. So this is also very important. Anyways, if you have a side business, all of these consulting calls too, you can always write off as a business expense. So like that's also a nice plus. So maybe we can have a completely separate video about how you can save taxes with having a side business. I think that could be an interesting topic. But like the gist of the matter is like anything that you're doing for your business, which is going to help you grow, and you're doing any kind of expenses for that, that could be written off, most of it. These are a few things that I wanted to like share with you in this video, because this is what I feel. The same rules don't apply. You as an expat living in a different country, for you like things are going to be a lot more difficult. You will have to like just go through a lot of things on your own, and many times if you're lucky you will find sympathetic people who will be able to help you out. But most of the times what I've seen is like, whenever like money becomes a play, you will generally find people who will see you as you're doing something evil, that you're trying to earn money, that you're trying to run your own business, that you're trying to sell something. All of this is seen as evil, but like working for the business or buying a particular thing that somebody's selling, that is not seen as evil. So you have to keep these things in mind, that there will be some kind of resistance in these kind of scenarios. And people who are the natives, for them like things are generally a lot easier because they understand the system better. They understand the language, they understand how the people tick and everything. But for you as a foreigner, you have to put the effort inside if you want to make it in a particular country, because just going to that country, working and paying taxes and like coming home and like eating and like chilling with Netflix whatsoever, that's just a short-term approach. That is not going to really help you in the future, because you might think, all right, we are living in Germany and like, the state is going to take care of us when we are old and we will get like nice pension and stuff like that. Talk to Alina's grandparents. Alina's grandparents, they worked for what, like their entire life, and I think Alina's grandpa, he received his retirement with 67, and he is working as a gardener, so he has to lift, like, he has to cut stuff, lift stones, things like that. It's hard work. It's like not just us sitting on computers and doing like normal stuff. And the rent is really bad. I think like it's just like 1,200 euros or something, 1,100 euros. And when you think about if you have a rented apartment and you're paying 600 euros or 700 euros for it, and the rates are going to go up every single year, you can absolutely forget that the money that the government is going to give you will be sufficient for you when you're like, old. So don't rely on the government. Don't rely on anybody else other than yourself, because you have to take care of things. You can only rely on yourself. You cannot rely on anybody else. That's the motto of, I think, this channel too, and also like, what I like personally see as a guiding line for any kind of decision that I make in my life. I cannot rely on anybody else. I have to like, do and take care of the things on my own, and so should you. So be aware of these things. I hope you learned a few things from this video. I think this is also like important once in a while, like that you just like sit down, speak your mind out, because with these short videos about like how to buy XYZ or like how to do this and that, you cannot like really talk about the philosophy behind it. So if you would like to see more videos like that, let me know. Maybe I can like set a day where I can just like sit down and just like talk about different kind of things in a long form content than just like, having the short clips every next day. Alright then, thank you so much again. I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Alright guys, so this is like me editing the video, but here's my copy of it. And like these days I've been reading the book again at night, and it's like very helpful to kind of like ground you and make you think again what kind of things you're doing right and what things you could be doing better. And these things I also like post on Instagram, so if you are not following me on Instagram, you should do that. And also there's a separate like small ebook that I made for like investing 101 to like just get you through the basics, what kind of different investing opportunities are there, so that you can also like go through it. So yeah, that's that.